Well, I'm very excited, and I think my coaching staff feels exactly like I do. This has been a great group. There's been a lot of attention to detail in the weight room and in the practice facility. And these guys have been working very, very hard on their own. And it's a great sign for things to come. We had 2 weeks of work with our returning players, and they did a great job. And our newcomers arrived at the end of June, and we started right after July 4th weekend. We've had 6 workouts. Oh, wait a minute. Tomorrow will be the 6th workout. So we've had 5 workouts, and they've all been terrific, making a lot of progress. The freshmen are making a very, very quick adjustment. We had one unfortunate thing, and that was the injury to Lonnie Walker in our 4th workout in the very last possession of a scrimmage. He tweaked his knee. It required surgery. He had it on Friday morning, and now he's in the recovery stage. He's rehabbing. He's already started the rehab, and our trainer and our physical therapist said he's doing amazingly well for this quickly after the surgery. So,
do you know how long he's expected to be out?
I don't think there's a set timetable. It really depends on how quickly he can rehab it. I know in the case of Davon Reed, he had a similar injury, similar surgery, and he was expected to be back. He injured himself on September. He had surgery on September the 16th, and he was due back towards the end of January, and he played December 6th because he just worked so hard and rehab went so well, no setbacks, and the doctors cleared him, and he practiced and played that early in December. So we'll just have to wait and see how Lonnie progresses. Each individual is different.
The initial time frame, though, is he should be okay for early in the season, somewhere in there, maybe first game even?
Well, right now, we're planning on him being available by game 1. But I kind of like to be optimistic when it comes to things like that.
Do you worry, obviously, just, you know, it's so much preparation this time for him, and he's missing out on that. How do you guys try to ease that for him since he can't be on the court?
Well, he can't do it physically, but he can do it mentally. He was at practice today. He was watching. He's seeing everything that's going on. He's a very bright young man. He has a lot of leadership qualities, so he understands the importance of him being there. Out of sight is out of mind. And he doesn't want to be out of sight. He wants to be there. He wants to be working. He's rehabbing right there while we're practicing, so he gets a chance to observe and to work on his own on the things that he needs to be doing. He'll be behind, but not so far behind. What we do is not that complicated. At least it's not for me. I'm not sure about the players, but it's not that complicated for them, so he'll be fine.
You said it was in the 4th workout for him. How did he look in the first 3?
Sensational. He did. I mean, he looked sensational even before he arrived for the first workout. He woke up and knocked on the other freshman's door to be sure everybody was up and ready to get there. Just the way he thinks. He thinks about other people, a very unselfish individual, as all these kids are. We have Sam Wardenberg. This morning was his first workout because he played in Egypt for the New Zealand national team. And they competed against teams from around the world, and he had a great experience. Now he's back working, and he looks very good.
Based on what you've seen out of him in those tournaments, do your expectations for him rise a little bit, given how he's performed and what he's been able to do?
Well, our expectation is always the same, that these guys that we recruit will be able to contribute. How quickly, depends on how quickly they make the adjustment and to the physicality and speed of the game. Like, I think in Sam Wardenberg's case, he he found out right away, because he was here in December, January, February, March, April, how fast and athletic American players are. So he's making the adjustment.
I want to ask you about Chris, the other freshman.
Chris Likes.
Yeah, he. I guess I don't know if you expect him to battle to start, or but he's a true point guard. I guess maybe you didn't have that last year. Just sort of talk about what you foresee for him.
Well,
He's looking.
when you talk about a true point guard, people tend to think a certain way.
Well, I mean,
It's not the way we look at it. Right now, the NBA is constantly talking about positionless basketball. You got to be able to do a lot of different things.
I don't
And
want to get hung up on me saying true point guard. Just talk about his
He's-
foresee for him, his role, and what he.
well, it's way too early to determine anybody's true role. We're just introducing things that they have to learn. The veteran players are ahead because they did it all last year, and some of them for several years. But for some guys, especially the freshmen, it's all new. So we'll make progress during this summer, and we'll really get into it starting in September.
Jim, with Bruce Brown coming back, what's kind of the next step in his career, and how's the development going this past few months?
He's doing great. The thing about this team that I'm enjoying so much is they're in the gym constantly. They're working hard in the classroom, doing well with their schoolwork, but I call home, I call back to campus, and they don't answer the phone. Then they text me back, I was in the gym. 9, 10 o'clock at night, they're in there shooting. And when you have guys who are gym rats and they play in one-on-one all the time, our transfer student, Miles Wilson, he and Bruce are playing one-on-one constantly. I think Anthony Lawrence and Jaquan Newton are getting in the gym for individual skill work more than ever before. DeJuan Ewell's been getting in. We've been starting at 7 a.m. DeJuan's been getting here at 5:30 to shoot. So when you have guys who are that dedicated and spending that much time in the gym, they're going to improve. Plus, Steve Feldy, our strength and conditioning coach, has told me this is the most focused group we've had in his time here.
And Bruce specifically, what's kind of next for him with his development?
Just keep working on his game. I think he's really working, he and Jaquan are really working on their three-point shooting. We believe we'll be more of a three-point shooting team this year. We're planning on using Sam Wardenberg and Anthony Lawrence as a stretch four, because without Kamari Murphy, those are big shoes to fill. I don't know if anyone can do what he did defensively for us, but Sam and Amp are more skilled on the perimeter and can shoot threes, so we'll be trying to take advantage of that.
Coach, I missed the beginning about Lonnie, but you expect him back for the opener?
Yes.
Yes. And can you talk about just what you saw in him the first few practices, and how did he take, what was his mood, I guess? And I mean, that's pretty devastating.
He's handled it like a real professional. He's upbeat. Obviously when he got hurt, he was very, very disappointed. But his willingness to do whatever he's been asked to do has been tremendous. Our trainer and our physical therapist are very, very excited about how he appears after the surgery. Sometimes strength is a real problem for a guy after the surgery, but his strength seems to be very good.
What day was the surgery?
Friday morning early.
Coach, just wondering if you're following along with Summer League, some of your former players. Like
With great interest.
Yeah.
Davon had a tremendous summer league with the Phoenix Suns, averaged 14 points a game. In his last game, he had 17 in his first starting job. He started in the final game of the summer league and did really, really well, probably his best game. Sheldon McClellan started and played quite a bit for the Wizards, averaged a little bit over 13 a game, played extremely well. He had a game of 20 in one night, and I watched the games. He's playing very, very good. Trey McKinney-Jones played for 3 different teams in 3 different summer leagues. He played in Orlando, he played in Utah, and he played in Vegas. And unfortunately, in his last game with the Miami Heat, he separated his shoulder and had to miss the last couple of games. But he averaged like 9-10 points a game as well.
Have you been talking to them?
I've been texting with him, not so much talking. And then Kamari Murphy, I just texted with him this morning. He just finished up, and the Nets have invited him back to training camp. So he'll be with them for the remainder of the summer, and then he'll be with their D League. It's now actually called the G League. He'll be with their G League team this fall.
Is Davon doing even more than you, I mean, I know you had high expectations. You've always said that he'd make a great pro. Is he doing even more than you thought so soon? Or?
Well, I think he's with the right team. I think Josh Jackson, their first-round pick, is a much different player than Davon. And Davon's a real good complement to him. And I think it's a great fit because the Phoenix Suns have Devin Booker, who I know Davon will compete like crazy to help Devin Booker have an absolutely NBA All-Star type season, and then he'll be prepared anytime Devin needs a blow to go in there and help the Phoenix Suns. But his skill level is high. He defends, he rebounds his position, he can handle the ball, he can shoot the ball, and he's a real worker. I mean, he's going to do everything they ask him to do. He's so team-oriented. So I know they're very excited about him.
Jim, how would you evaluate how things are going with recruiting with this 2018-2019 class to build off kind of what you did the year before? How do you say it's going?
We've had 2 top 10 type recruiting classes, and we want to keep that going because we anticipate that we're going to have some openings on our staff, and we got to prepare for the eventuality that a Bruce Brown could turn pro. You know, Lonnie Walker is an NBA prospect. Dewan Ewell's an NBA prospect. So we know Jaquan Newton's going to graduate. So we're looking down the road at the class of 2018 and 19 to hopefully continue with the success we've enjoyed so far in the recruiting arena, and my staff, Chris Caputo, Jamal Brunt, and Adam Fisher, are very, very busy right now getting us involved with some of the top players in the country. I'd like to mention them, but that's against NCAA rules.
You know, one is visiting in September, I heard. Can you talk, back on recruiting, the level of player that you're able to recruit now and the level of players that are interested in UM now, I mean, it seems to be higher than it was before. Can you talk about I think there's challenges with that. There's probably good and bad because they're also being recruited by all these other top programs, and just how's it different being a coach of a team that's attracting the highest level players versus the next tier down? Well,
I'd say that the very first thing is every basketball program in the ACC has the opportunity to recruit top 50, top 100 caliber players. It doesn't mean you're going to sign them, though, because the competition is so keen for them. We signed Dan Gak, who visited Florida, Kansas, and Miami. That's high-level recruiting. Chris Likes visited us and Villanova and canceled visits to Georgetown, Virginia, and Notre Dame. So when you're after that caliber player, Lonnie Walker visited Kentucky, Arizona, and Villanova, as well as Miami. You have to understand that you can lose that guy. He's got great choices, great basketball programs, and what you have to evaluate is what is he looking for and what are our chances. And right now, every kid that we're involved with is looking at top 25 type programs. what's nice is he considers us in that category. He doesn't look at Miami maybe the way prospects were looking at us even 6 years ago. Now it's, hey, Miami's in the preseason top 25. They've got guys who are in the NBA. They have guys who are projected to be drafted next year. So let me take a look at Miami, because they got one heck of a basketball program now.
What do you guys do as far as with the NBA, especially? That's obviously very attractive to these kids. When a guy like Davon is doing great in these leagues and other players, how do you guys capitalize on that?
Well, right now it's social media that is really the driving force in recruiting. If you want to know what's going on, you got to tweet it out, all right? You got to read Twitter. You got to follow the announcements of, hey, I've narrowed down my choices to these 42 schools, all right? But some kids are narrowing it down to 4. And when other kids hear that, wow, you're in his top 4? Maybe I should be taking a look at Miami. And with Davon getting to the NBA, I text some parents, and they got right back and said, oh, we've been watching him, because their son is interested in us, and they want to see how your players make the adjustment to the NBA. So with Sheldon and Davon there now, with Trey McKinney-Jones on the cusp, with Shane Larkin having played 3 years in the NBA, with Bruce and Lonnie being projected as draft choices even as soon as next year, we've got to take advantage of that by providing that kind of information to our prospects and their parents.
Does it change the fact that guys, this level of player may not be around 4 years, whereas you've made most of your career and success has been on taking guys, developing them over 4 years, developing a team and the chemistry and teaching them, involving players. Now you're taking guys who may be gone in a year or 2. How does that change your approach?
Well, one of the things we always emphasize is development. We feel like our program has been very successful at developing players. If I'm an NBA prospect, a young man who thinks he's 1 and done or 2 and done, then it would be very smart of you to choose a program like ours, because you want to be ready. You want to make that jump to the NBA and be very well prepared. So your development as a college player, even in 1 year, is very, very important to you, because you're not coming out of high school and going directly to the NBA. You're going to a college program, and if they don't prepare you for the jump, our whole program right now is greatly influenced by the NBA philosophy. So that's why I said the NBA is all about positionless basketball. You're not really a true point guard or 2-man or 3-man. You're not really a center or power forward. You're a player. And if you watch the NBA playoffs and you watch the teams that made it to the finals, you had the Golden State Warriors. They didn't really play the second half of any games with a big man. They had Draymond Green was the big man, and Kevin Durant shooting threes, and the Cleveland Cavaliers countered with LeBron James being the biggest guy for the Cleveland Cavaliers on the court and playing with 4 3-point shooters around him. Kevin Love is a 3-point shooter, and Kyrie Irving and Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith, all those guys can shoot threes, and that's the direction we've been going in. So we think we're going to be shooting more threes because we're greatly influenced by the NBA style.
Couple more questions?
Just talk about DeJuan Huell, just kind of how he's progressed this summer with his body, with his on-court game, and everything.
Well, DeJuan's just made another huge step. He's been invited to Adidas Nations in the 1st of August. DeJuan is making tremendous progress. He's coming in 5:30 every morning, working on his shot, working on his scoring. He's had days where he's been the leading scorer in practice. We're going to need him, Buka, and Rodney Miller to really man that interior for us. Last year, those guys were all very young and very inexperienced. Now I feel like they're veterans. I see the improvement from last year to this year, and it's significant.
What have you seen from Buka? I know from Buka specifically. I know there was such a learning curve a little bit for him, but what kind of progress have you seen?
Well, I saw him today. He was really the dominant big man. He scored very, very well, played very, very well. He and Rodney actually played together and were a very nice combination. The other team had a hard time stopping them. Buka, Rodney, and Dewan are really all in the same category of I'm athletically gifted. I've made a lot of progress in the weight room, so I'm strong enough. And now it's a matter of competing with each other to really elevate each other's games so that we have a great three-headed monster. And I think we're going to. They all need to get better at the defensive end and the rebounding. I think they're making a lot of progress offensively. They need to do it at the defensive end and rebounding again, because Kamari Murphy and Davon Reed were two of our premier defenders, and now they're gone. We need somebody to step up and take that role that Murph had.
Jim, what are they able to do right now with workouts? What was your players able to do at this time?
We're allowed 2 hours of skill level. And so Monday mornings and Tuesday mornings, basically from 7:15 to 8:15, we're working on skills, individual skills and team-oriented skills. So we've put in some transition game. We've put in some half-court offense. We worked on our half-court defense. Tomorrow we'll start on our full-court defense. And we're working on shooting a lot.
And then what's next for you guys? When the 2 hour week, when does it change?
Not until we're 42 days away from our first game. So our first game is November 10th. So you've got the 10 days in November, the 31 days in October. So we're going to be starting full tilt the last day of September.
Last questions?
I know it's hard to compare teams, but, and coaches never like to do that, but at this point in the summer, what you've seen compared to this point in the summer, July, the previous several years, how do you think this team looks this summer?
We're younger. It's nice that the youthfulness is definitely noticeable in practice, because there's a lot of energy in the practice facility during the workouts. We have some experience because we have a senior, a couple of juniors, and several sophomores. So we're not void of that experience, but we still have 4 new guys that are learning. So we're young. We need to be stronger at the defensive end of the floor.
Thanks, Coach.